There we go. I guess we're finally moving. This is a second take, and I'll tell you why it's a second take. After I did the first take on this, I hit the delete dot on here instead of the stop dot. And so, you're getting to meet me for a first time for the second time. Okay, whatever. Anyway, and ironically, while we were making the first recording here, I got an email from another member of our class, William, who said he will be joining us this week. Apparently, his book just came in, so that's a good thing too. So we're getting our numbers back. We're supposed to have four. We've only had two so far. William said he will be joining us this week, and Amir hopefully will be too, because he said a couple of weeks ago that his book would be coming in a few weeks. So let's hope that he's here. Anyway, okay, so here we are. And I'm sitting here with a cup of coffee, and hopefully when you're doing your reading and doing your writing, you're also having a cup of coffee, because we're talking about literature. And literature is something that we should be able to relax and enjoy. Hence, coffee with it as we do it. It's just something that enhances our lives. Okay, so the literature we've looked at so far has really been all about kind of foundations of civilizations, in the sense of what really makes these civilizations what they are. And so we looked at Old Testament, Genesis, Adam and Eve, kind of the beginnings of the human race, I guess. And then we looked at Odysseus and the part of human beings that drives them. Okay. And then we saw more of that same kind of thing in the Iliad and the Odyssey, more of what drives human beings, more about human compassion, more about human rage, valor, honesty, family values. So what we're seeing really are things that are kind of pieces of what mankind is all about. The bases of societies. Okay. Human pride has been a factor running through all of these. Mankind develops, mankind changes, mankind evolves. That's we can see that from what we've read. But if you look at Adam and Eve, we see mankind doing the same dumb things that mankind still does today. Not thinking about causes, but only thinking about self-satisfaction. Not thinking about the bigger picture, but only thinking about human pride. Only thinking from their own pride, not about their pride, but from their pride, rather than about the big picture. Okay? And because, of course, Eve and Adam, and I'll say Eve's name first because she was the one who pushed Adam into doing the forbidden deed. Okay, and I won't say it's always women that push guys into the forbidden deed. I won't say that, because that's not really true. But Eve does. But anyway, that was done out of a sense of pride. It's like, God, who are you to be telling me what to do? Well, we human beings still do that every day, don't we? We know what's right and what's wrong, and many times we choose things that are wrong, as we're saying to ourselves, God, I'm more important than you are. Anyway, okay, this isn't a religion class, but that's a big part of what Genesis is all about. Okay, and then as we moved into Odysseus, we certainly saw the role of pride there. We saw proud parents who shipped off their son so that the fates, the will of the gods would not be upheld. And of course, just as with Adam and Eve, it backfired on them. So same type of thing. And not poor Odysseus. Odysseus certainly was more than just an innocent bystander in all of this. So we certainly can't say poor Odysseus. And then we get to the Iliad and the Odyssey, and we see how rage, pride drive those people. Certainly passion drives them. We see some empathy also, which is kind of nice to see. That softer side of humanity, but it's all there. But in all three of these, we're seeing how human pride has created so many problems for the human race. And of course, has it really changed? Has it? I mean, isn't our world still so driven by human pride? So much of the negativity in our no negativism in our society, so much of the evil things that happen are brought about by human pride and by humans saying, "I'm more important. I'm what it's really all about." You know, and so we're seeing that as themes all the way through. But we're also seeing different societies. Now, we're reading literature, okay? But this literature is a reflection. This is important. Literature is a reflection of the society that spawns it. So we saw the Hebrew society and its basis in Genesis, okay? We saw the society in Athens and in Odysseus, and in their drama they tried to put so much human emotion, and of course they certainly did, right? That's incredibly emotional stuff and shocking stuff, but human stuff, okay? And then in the Iliad and the Odyssey, we saw men driven by passion, by emotion, by greed, by lust, by hatred, and also by some empathy, okay? So we're seeing similarities in all societies, and of course, what makes man makes man. But we're seeing how things also evolve a little bit along the way, okay? Well, this week we're going to look at another society, the Chinese society, and we're going to look at it from the point of view of somebody that you have heard of, Confucius. We've all heard Confucius say da-da-da-da-da, and Confucius say da-da-da-da-da, and these little pearls of wisdom coming at us from Confucius, okay? Well, we'll get a chance to read some of these this week. Now, I'm not asking you to read all of Confucius, first of all, okay? But what makes sense to me is that you read a good part of the introductory material on Confucius, and then I'm not saying you need to read all 9 or 10 pages of Confucius's writings, but read enough of them so that you can get a good sampling of what he's all about. From my perspective, he's really a good bit about how would I label it? Common sense, okay? But you may see it differently. Your view may be dramatically different from mine, and that's okay. This is literature, and again, even though some of the stuff we'll be reading is fiction, Iliad and Odyssey, obviously fiction, Odysseus, hopefully fiction, right? But it still is reflective of that world, of their way of thinking. That's what literature does. So, if you look at the literature of today, okay, a big book a couple of years ago was 50 Shades of Grey. Well, you know what? That certainly reflects an awful lot of what our world is about today. Lust, greed, passion, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, those are things that drive our world today. Okay, and that's an awful lot of what that was about. So, we'll be looking at things that continue to show what societies are about. If you have something that you would like us to read so that we can kind of discuss it all together, suggest it to me, okay? Sure, we have a curriculum, but I have no great qualms about deviating from that curriculum. So if you have something you want us to read, something you want us to talk about, then feel free to do that. Okay, so this week, I'll put down in the actual assignment what you should do with Confucius, and it's a little bit open-ended. I'm leaving it up to your own creativity, but we're seeing a fourth society here now in the Chinese society, and it is interesting how we see humanity interwoven throughout all of this. Okay, you guys have a good week. Questions, you know where to get me. Thanks.